On today's episode of the BAM Show, we're going to talk about our favorite picks, least favorite picks, and biggest reaches in the NFL draft from the San Francisco 49ers. We're going to talk about these prank calls and the fines. Mike, are you ready?
You damn right.
Smash that like button, faithful. What's going on, faithful? The BAM Show has returned. It is post-draft time, Mike. We got cool things to talk about. Mike, how you doing? How'd you handle the draft? And how's it going? Like post-draft, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, post-draft made me love the draft so much more. When you were able to step back, well, first of all, draft weekend was great. Got to spend time with Tony. We had Mariah on the show all 3 days. We had NY on the show all 3 days. Tony was on the show all 3 days. And then Peachy joined us for day 3. It was a lot of fun, man. The chat was on fire. All of that was great, man. And then as far as, like, the draft selections overall, I love what this team built. Are the players going to work out? Is the talent going to translate to the NFL level? That remains to be seen. But when you look at what the plan was, the plan of attack, and what they executed, man, oh, man, I think the Niners did a really, really good job with this draft. What about you, man? How was the experience for you? I know you were busy and all, so
yeah.
What was it like?
I mean, like, the draft experience was great. We had really good turnouts on the draft shows. The nitty-gritty Niners Talk crew was together for the first time in a long time, so that was pretty good on the first 2 days of the draft. The third day of the draft, I had to work, man. Listen, my Saturdays, when I have weddings, they literally take up my whole day. And I just happened to end up in a place where the Wi-Fi was just terrible. Like the service was not even, the Wi-Fi was bad and the connection for AT&T was terrible. So it was like really hard to stay connected, you know, with the draft going on. But yeah, shout out to Peachy, Mose. They definitely held it down. Peachy on all 3 days held it down. Mose first 2 days was holding it down. So it was really good. It was really fun. And me too. Like, I'm with you. I thought the 49ers absolutely crushed the draft because for the first time, I felt like they addressed needs and they addressed them well. Like, they got really good pieces in the positions of need, like far as linebacker, you know, defensive line, and even the offensive pieces, you know. Like, I thought that they addressed it and attacked the draft very well. Shout out to the Breezy Bunch crew. Make sure you guys hit that like button if you're out there. Ear horns for the whole crew. I see Jackson, Matthew, Boats. You guys are in the building. 49ers _ throwback in the building as well. Don't bother me. Tanisha's here. Mark is in here, man. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? But Mike, let's get to favorite pick, least favorite pick, and biggest reach for the Niners, just based off of draft status and stuff like that. I mean, we won't know if there's anybody that's going to be a big reach until they actually play football. But we do know that there was value to some of these players, right? There was value to some of these players. So let's go ahead and let me get your favorite pick.
All right, so my favorite pick is going to be, I'm glad we're starting here because I'm going to be really long-winded with this one, right? It's hard to determine my favorite pick, and I'm going to tell you why. You started by saying the Niners really address the needs, right? And I think going into a draft and having to hit on as many pieces the Niners have to hit on is dangerous, just period. Any organization that is drafting strictly for need and is not afforded the luxury of going BPA, it's going to be tough. It's going to be dangerous, right? And so it was all about complementary pieces. We did a lot of mock drafts, and when we got more in depth into it, we started talking about complementary pieces. And that's where I think the Niners knocked it out the park, right? Our biggest weakness was the defensive line, right? Because we still are bringing back the starting offensive line, minus Banks. That's the only piece that's missing, right? So offensive line didn't seem to be a huge need as far as priority goes. It was really the run defense was terrible last year. We didn't have any starting defensive. Well, yeah, I'll say it. We didn't have any starting defensive tackles. We didn't have an edge opposite of Nick Bosa. We lost Dre Greenlaw, so we needed to do the linebacker. And the Niners came out first 5 picks and addressed all of that, and even a safety, right? So what do those 5 defensive players all have in common? Excellent against the run. excellent against the run, willing hitters, willing thumpers, the defensive tackles, the edge guys, right? I saw the film, and they were beating double teams, triple teams to get pressures after the quarterback, make stops for tackles for loss, capturing running backs from behind. Like all of the defensive linemen did that in like abundance. So it tells me that on tape and in college, the Niners addressed those really, really big needs well. Not only did they get guys with some pass rushing capabilities, they got guys who were even better at stopping the run. And so as a cumulative, I loved it. If I have to stop and just pick one of the guys that I like the most, it's probably going to be that big defensive tackle, C.J. West from Indiana. He's probably going to end up being my favorite pick that we had out there. 52 stops at or behind the line of scrimmage in 2023. That's the most in FBS defensive tackles in that 2-year span of any player, any defensive tackle in college football in the last 2 years. So he's going to get my big A+. And then you watch that big dude run the 40, right? He was out there moving, right? He's like a linebacker out there running. And this is a big 300-plus pound defensive tackle. Very, very impressed with him. I think C.J. West is going to end up being my favorite guy.
Yeah, and I hope that they utilize him properly, right? Like my whole thing is that, and I did on the Wayne Breezy show this morning, I was asked a question about, Kyle using these guys to their strengths, like their abilities. Like, you know what I mean? And Kyle, because he's the head coach. So overall, I get why we're asking that question. And when I look at CJ West, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm not expecting him to start, but I'm expecting him to be a ball of energy off the bench. I'm expecting him to be like the sixth man in that defensive front. Like, you know what I'm saying? I look at like sixth man in relation to the NBA. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I expect him to come in and keep the pride. Bro, your horn has been out. I expect him to come in and keep it moving. Like, you know what I mean? Because Robert Saleh, and maybe this is something that Robert Saleh has learned, because that was something that he said, hey, man, look, I've grown since the first time I was a defensive coordinator. I've become a head coach. I see things from a different lens now. And so maybe stopping the run is key to the pass rush. Like we just want to rush the pass. They're not necessarily statistics. They're not going to come out throwing on first down. They're going to run. So if you can get them for a tackle for a loss on first down, that's great, because now your pass defense is going to chip off, which leads to my favorite player of this draft, Upton Stout, man. I've been talking about this kid for the longest. And we just kind of brushed off over him because we're like, oh, we're not going to go that route. He doesn't fall to the 49ers, blah, 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 whatever. But I like him. Why? Because of his versatility, Mike. Like, the kid is versatile. He's tiny. He's undersized, but he hits big. He plays big. And I think he's going to make big plays out there for the San Francisco 49ers. Nickelback, safety, where you want to put him. Like, it's kind of to the beck and call of where Robert Saleh sees fit. Now he's got to come into camp and he's got to come and prove himself. I don't think any rookie's going to be handed a job unless you were the first pick in the first round pick. But other than that, like, I think he'll come out there and he's going to really shape, really offer some sharpening tools for that cornerback room, right? Like, yeah, man, you used to be the guy, and he's a dog. That's another thing. Like, I think the Niners drafted all dogs in this particular draft, even at the quarterback position. All dogs have been drafted for the San Francisco 49ers. So for me, it's Upton Stout. I went defense, you went defense. And that's weird for me because I'm a linebacker and running back guy. Like, those are my positions. Those positions I played. Those are the positions I catered to. And it doesn't mean I dislike the linebackers or the running back that we drafted. Jordan James, Nick Martin. No, but it's something about Upton Stout. I felt like he gives the 49ers that versatility even at a small size frame. 3 PBUs, 3 interceptions. Like, he makes plays on the ball. So you get a playmaking, tackling guy. And his run defense is through the roof.
And not only that, I talked about the last 2 years in FBS for the defensive tackle that I picked, right, in C.J. West. In the last 2 seasons for Upton, he has not allowed a touchdown and 409 coverage snaps to the nearest defender. Like, that is insane. 2 seasons to not allow a touchdown. That dude can play. That dude can play some balls. That's an excellent pick.
And you got better IQ guys, I think that's what this draft was about. Yo, Mike, we got the first 5 picks were defensive picks. Like that's crazy to me. All right, let's keep this moving. Least favorite pick.
This one, I'm kind of torn between two, but I'm gonna go with the wide receiver from Ole Miss, Jordan Watkins. I felt like there were 3 receivers on Ole Miss that looked a little bit better.
3?
Right?
You had 3? Wow.
I'm
I
sorry,
had
he
2.
was a third. I'm sorry, he was a third. I'm sorry, he was a third. I apologize. My 3 was wrong. He was the third one, and I think only one was off the board. So
Yes. The other one,
I
don't think the other one got drafted.
Right. Yeah, I think he went undrafted. So it was kind of like, why, how? So maybe the team saw something in him that, we didn't see. But here's what I do know. As much as I'm telling you it's my least favorite pick, it does not mean he's not going to be good. Doesn't mean he's not going to be productive. And it damn sure doesn't mean that he's not going to get opportunity because we got, Ayuk coming from the ACL. Jennings is coming into his last year. DeMarcus Robinson might be suspended. We didn't see much from Cowing last year. Like, he's going to get some opportunities to show what he's made of, even on the offense. I know he's going to start out on special teams and all that stuff probably, but this kid should get some opportunities to at least get out there and run some routes. And maybe when they start doing the film breakdowns, Kyle will say, hey, this guy deserves a couple of targets also, So least favorite pick doesn't mean it's a waste, though, but it's my least favorite pick of the draft.
I agree. I think my least favorite pick for me was quarterback Curtis Rourke because I just really, did I want the Niners to draft a quarterback? Yeah, mainly at that last pick, but did it really matter because it was the 7th round? But at the end of the day, like, why'd you draft a player that's potentially not? He probably would have went undrafted, and then they could have worked their magic on some undraft stuff. But I think I understand the science behind why they drafted Curtis Rourke, which then makes sense formula wise, as far as if he's going to be injured and start the season on the NFI, then it doesn't waste the season. So technically you put him on that for a year and you still get the 4 years out of him. So I kind of get that. But I felt like there were still some really good, solid players that you could have addressed in that 7th round. Like, this was a weird draft to where there was good talent in the 7th round. And I'm not knocking the talent. I think he has a big arm. I think he has a very cerebral brain. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He's 6'4", 6'5", 223 pounds. And the kid is hella accurate, almost a 70% completion percentage. And if he played that poorly, that good on a messed up ACL, I'm loving it. Like, I kind of labeling him an Iron Man. But at the end of the day, like, did we really need an Iron Man right now? Could we had possibly just drafted the quarterback next year? Like, I don't know, man. So that's probably my least favorite pick.
So, I was a Seth Hannigan guy, right? When the Niners are going quarterback, I'm like, it's going to be Seth. It's going to be Seth, right? Yeah. But it wasn't Seth. It was Curtis Rourke, right? And when you think about what the Niners are trying to do with him, I think that is kind of I think it's 49er-esque, right? They like to get these guys and stash them for a year, maybe 2, right?
For sure.
He's going to be a stash guy, and guess what happens in 2 years? Mac Jones' contract is up, right? So now all of a sudden it's like, do we have the backup that's been here training and waiting in the wings? And we got a free year out of him, like you said, if he starts on NFI. Now, should he start on NFI? He finished the season on that busted ACL, so he probably shouldn't. But
that depends. It depends because once the Niners doctors get to him, he's starting the season on the NFI.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying?
And it's justified because of the ACL report
Bingo.
right away, right? And so you can kind of see what the plan is. Maybe they end up doing one of those things where we end up getting a comp pick because of Sam Darnold, right? So if we end up letting Mac Jones go in 2 years, then boom, we get the comp pick, and now this is our backup right away. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So he's going to come in here.
Wait,
he's going to.
Mac Jones signed a 2-year deal?
I'm pretty sure it was a 2-year deal. Let me double check. I thought it was a 2-year deal.
That's interesting. I thought it was a 1-year deal, but it might have been a 2-year deal. That's pretty telling. That's kind of weird.
According to Google, 2 years, $7 million contract with the 49ers.
Oh yeah, it's up to right. 2 years, $7 million, but it's up to 11. I remember now.
Up to 11 and a half, 5 guaranteed. Yep. So I kind of like what they're doing, right? You get to stash the young man for 1 year, and not for nothing. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I didn't say it on this show. Everything we like about Brock Purdy, is what this kid does well. The layered throws, right? His eyes and his feet are always working together. You never see him turn his head without pivoting his toes towards whatever target he might be potentially looking at.
Very
and
cerebral.
he gets off of his first read quick. I'm not going to lock in on you because you're the first one. I'm going to get off, and I'll even try to come back to you. But he goes 1-2 very quickly. And these are the things that we liked about Brock Purdy. Think back to that Miami game. Miami was his first game. Yeah. Think back to that Miami game when we first saw him. Brock was quick and decisive and not always locked on to the very first read. Those are the things that got us excited about Brock. And here's what I like even more. He's 6'4", right? Brock Purdy is 6'1" with cleats on. You know what I'm saying? Like, so this is a guy that's going to give us a little bit more size, a little bit of a better arm than him, but he also makes those layered and those touch passes just as good as Brock Purdy. So
When you say better arm, though, you mean stronger?
Stronger. Yeah, stronger.
Oh, okay.
Stronger. Yeah.
Because I don't think he's as accurate as Brock on the run. So, like there's good and there's things he's going to work on. But like you said, hey, whatever it is the Niners saw in him, which is interesting because Mick Lombardi will be his quarterback's coach. So this is a Mick Lombardi pick. Shout out to Jax Knox with the super chat. She says, Wayne and Mike, do you think guys will be QB2 and QB3? All right, who do you guys think will be QB2 and QB3? You want to go first?
So the Niners officially have 4 quarterbacks under contract now, right? So you have.
I don't know what the Tanner
Mordecai. I think
he's under contract. It's just practice squad money.
Right. And so I would go Brock 1, Matt Jones 2.
I go with the rookie 3.
Mordecai 3. I think they stash him.
Well, no, I mean just as far right. But I'm just talking about as far as like if he's not stashed, he's QB3. Because he's a draft pick.
And Mordecai isn't. Yeah, Mordecai.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So, but if Mordecai does kick the season off on the NFI, then yeah. But Jax, thank you for the super chat contribution. Biggest reach, so we can get to the next topic.
All right. So the biggest reach may have been Rourke, in my opinion. Not to pick on him a whole lot, right? But like you said, this guy It's weird. I didn't hear about the ACL for this kid until after we drafted him, right? And so did other teams know about that? And if that was
everybody knew.
Right. So if that was the case, odds are he probably was going to be a UDFA. But that means that he gets to choose. Maybe the Niners didn't want to risk it, but I think that might. I think
that's what they said, though, right? They didn't want to risk the fact that he would have chose a different team.
Well, I haven't watched any of those interviews because I'm gonna break them down
for your Patreon.
On
I got
Patreon,
you.
Yeah.
But I think that's what John Lynch had said. Like they didn't want to risk not drafting him, but then why not just draft him at 252? That's 30 picks later.
Well, so how many quarterbacks came off the board around this time?
But nobody else took a quarterback after we took that quarterback in the 7th round, right?
He was the last quarterback picked?
I think so.
Now I will pull up the list. I'll pull it up while you talk.
Okay. So Mike's biggest reach was Curtis Rourke. My biggest reach, though, was Nick Martin because even though it was a need, I felt like the reach to grab a guy coming off of a knee injury was a reach. Like regardless of how much the ceiling is. I mean, maybe that's how the Niners attacked this draft. I'm not sure, but I thought there were several other linebackers that I had ahead of him that I thought would be better. But, you know, I'm going to sit there and just trust what happens. But picking a guy that had a 7th round grade on the 3rd round, to me, Mike, is just a huge reach. Like, you know what I mean?
Quinn Ewers was.
Oh, Quinn Ewers went after. Okay. Texas guy.
After Rourke.
All right.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't think the Niners wanted Quinn. Like I don't know if they wanted. Yeah. So I thought that Nick Martin to me was just a big reach, just for the value, right? Like I felt like you could have got him round 4, round 5. You had double picks in those rounds. Why not? But maybe they felt like he was the guy on their big board and he was going to be gone. I feel like go ahead.
There was only 4 linebackers that came off the board. So I mean,
at that time, really.
So that means the Niners pretty much had their pick, and they really saw something in him that they liked.
Well, I like what they saw in him. I just thought that they could have got him at, a little bit later. Like, you know what I mean?
He could have been a great interview.
I heard he was.
Those are the things that bump guys up on people's draft boards. If they're asking about defense, if they put a play on and say, "What do you think the assignment is here?" Right? Those are the things that us as non scouts and non team employees aren't going to know about how well they did in those things, and that could have moved him up on draft boards even more than a combine,
for sure,
more than film and all that stuff. So maybe his draft stock was a lot higher than any of us anticipated.
Well, I think his interviews went really well because they met with him almost 3 times, and they didn't need a top 30 visit. Sometimes those top 30 visits are to get a second look at some players, or like a second interview, like another interview. I want to see how well you talk, how well you answer questions. And sometimes those interviews aren't about football. Sometimes those interviews are about, well, how do you work well with your teammates, and what would you do in this type of situation? Like I'm testing the kids on just about every level you can possibly test a kid on. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's my thing. But I heard he did really well in the interviews, like you said.
And more to your point, he had a couple of injuries this last season, and so that's another reason why people thought it was a bit of a reach, right? So
again, yes, he didn't play much. The injuries, he was the leading tackler in football in 2023, leading tackler, 140 tackles. He was like top 3 in tackles for loss, and then his final year, he
missed
got
7
injured.
games.
Yeah. He was injured.
Yeah, it was a bad MCL, but not bad enough where it required.
It was more of a strain. Yeah. Right. Like and he had to let it rest. And look, he ran at the combine and he ran a 4.53. So I'm assuming he's healed. And if he's not healed and ran a 4.53, oh shit! I mean, shoot. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, dang, because he's probably a 4.47 guy, but coming off of that MCL, not a tear, strain. That could, you know what I'm saying? It could have been crazy. Hey, Miss Sin. Sin is in the building. What's going on? All right, Mike, let's go ahead and get to today's next topic. Let's talk about these prank calls. Because, first of all, I'm a prank call guy, right? Like, I remember growing up, and this being a rites of passage, you know what I'm saying? Like ordering pizza from Domino's or whatever, like just prank call. Like, that's just who I am. But we're talking about the NFL. And we're talking about Shedeur Sanders, who was the first public media prank call that we all became aware of. All right, we all became aware of this prank call. Shedeur, whatever is going through his trauma of not getting drafted, and that's a whole nother topic. But let's talk about the prank call. And these are some of the other players, and I'll scroll that at the bottom for people to see. These are some of the other players that have been prank called, but the media didn't necessarily make it super public. I believe Tyler Warren was, he came out and said he was prank called as well, and some of the other guys. But Mike, just, what are your thoughts just on the whole prank call situation? It was by Jeff Ulbrich's 21-year-old son, 21-year-old son that got a hold of his father's information at home and did the prank calling.
Was he responsible for all of them? Or just
no, he was responsible for Shedeur Sanders. I didn't say all the prank calls, but I'm curious to know how these other guys got this information.
Listen, man, I've been a teenager and I've done prank calls.
He's not a teenager. He's 21.
Wait, I know.
Okay.
I've done the star 67 and dial people I know. And, I don't know if you remember when we were young, one of the first viral things on the internet was "you kicked my dog." I don't know if you remember that whole bit, "you kicked my dog." You know damn well what I'm talking about. "You kicked my dog, I'm going to kill you." Right? Like, it was like a whole thing. There was a movie that came out. It was like a show that was dedicated to not Beastie Boys. It was something boys.
Even Beavis and Butthead did it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Remember Seymour Butts and all that? Yeah.
Rusty Bed Springs. And, like all that kind of stuff, right? Jack Mehoff, Rusty Bed Springs, IP Nightly, like all kinds of stuff. Anyway, but my point is, we were teenagers. This was dumb, and you're ruining these guys' biggest moments. They got family and friends around. I'll speak for the Shedeur Sanders one, right? Like, this guy had a whole production going, a massive party outdoors, and the second that phone rang, a signal was given, and the music just stopped. It was dead silence. Like, they were absolutely prepared for this moment. And unfortunately, that moment had to be documented in his documentation of his draft process. very irresponsible, very cruel, in my opinion. This wasn't just something that was like, aha, it's funny. Like, this was cruel. This was it was effed up.
I mean, and I agree, because we're not talking like regular prank call status. We're talking about, and this Oscar, said Ulbrich's son was messing with people's lives. This isn't cool, and they should have been docked a second rounder, and Ulbrich should be fired. And we're going to talk about the sanctions in a minute. That's another kind of conversation. And, there's the opposite. Like, is it really a big deal? Makes you wonder how many prank calls. Now, it's funny that you asked this, Mark, because this has been going on for many, many, many moons. It's just not been publicly a big thing. Go ahead, bro.
So I do know that other players have been prank called by their friends.
Correct.
And that's different. That's different. If you are going to block your number and call your friend, or you're going to download Text Now and pick a California area code to say that you're representing the Niners, like, that's very, very different than a buddy doing it, right? You don't know these people at all. So now you just look like a D-head, like you a D-bag. Like, you look like an a-hole. This was all the letters of the alphabet with the negative connotation after it. Like, this was it. I laughed when it happened because I thought it was fake, and I thought
I thought it was fake too.
Like everything's a rollout in music nowadays, right? Like,
yeah.
I thought this was one of those things: get yourself in the headline, get some sympathy because you're falling in the draft, and then get your name back out there.
You thought it was fabricated?
I thought it was a setup, and I was like, and here's what made me think it was a setup: the footage from both ends of the call. I'm like, come on, what are the odds of that? Like, who's gonna
First of
snitch on
all,
themselves?
like, if you're gonna do the prank call, that's one thing. But why would you leak the footage, or be with somebody to leak the footage? That boy would have got super punch slapped.
That's the part. It ain't over. It ain't over.
No. Look, my thing.
They're the same age,
right? Oh, listen, it'd have been on. Like, I'd probably be in jail. Okay, like at 21, he would have got roughed up. I'm just saying, because dude. Like, why would you film it? We were prank calling. If anything, he guilty by association too. Dummy. You filmed the prank call.
Right. And you gonna film it. All right,
and then
that circulates in our group chat. Don't put it on social media. Like, what are you doing? The kids these days are so dumb. I mean, and it goes for petty crimes and all that. Remember when people, they're still doing it, where they just walk in, they flash mob a store and go and rob the stores, but they got footage out, right? Like,
right.
These people, for the people who aren't in mask and you see the person filming it, like, y'all are all just dumb. This goes down as one of the dumbest things that a person could do ever.
It seems like the Atlanta Falcons, right? They end up in dumb situations, but they only get fined, right? Like there's nothing. It's about the punishment. Roy's Play says this stained the Falcons organization and Jeff's image. It did. Now, there are a bunch of takes on this, and I respect all the takes. Like, the Falcons didn't do anything wrong. Why do they got to pay the fine? Falcons were fined by the NFL $250,000, and Jeff Ulbrich was fined $100,000. Do you feel like, Mike, that the coach should have been fined more than the organization in this particular situation?
Absolutely. 100%. 100%.
That's what I thought.
That's your child. That is absolutely your child, right? Yeah. Listen to this. You buy a car, and there's a defect in that car, and that car ignites, right? People are going to sue the whatever company made whatever part.
Go ahead. Get
They're
it out.
Sue the car company. Everybody's
They're going to sue the people that made the parts. They're going to sue the mechanics. They're going to just sue. Everybody included in that lawsuit.
Everybody's getting listed on that lawsuit, and that's why I do believe that the Jeff Ulbrich should have been punished for it, as well as the Falcons, as well as his son, as well as, you know what I'm saying? Anybody involved, and the friends. There should be some sort of charges brought up to this, and they got time. I
don't know if there should be charges for prank. Are there? I gotta look in. Where's Tony? I need to know. Are there charges for prank calls? I don't think you can charge for prank calling, but
you can charge somebody for what happens afterwards, the mental stress, the emotional distress.
But you can't charge him for that. But you could take him to court for that, right? You can't charge him, like you know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean. But my thing is, whatever Jeff does with his son, that's on Jeff. Like that's between him and the family and the son, right? Like that's how he's gonna get punished. It's unfortunate that you can't punish Jax. That's his name. You can't punish him because he doesn't work for the NFL. So like, what can you do? The NFL can't punish him. That's why. And here's my issue with the sanctions, right? $250K and 100K. Like, I feel like the NFL made this a slap on the wrist as a warning and said to like, don't let it happen again. But why not make it a bigger deal? Like, this was only $350K. Like, I mean, it's
That's
not
a lot of money. First of all,
it's not a lot of money for an organization.
For an organization, that 100,000. But the position coach was 250,000. That might be a quarter of his salary.
The organization was 250,000. The coach was 100,000.
But he's a position coach. He's not a coordinator.
He's a coordinator.
Oh, he's a defensive coordinator. So he's making millions a year.
Yeah, 100K.
Oh, so that 100,000 is nothing. Oh, so that 100,000 is nothing. Yeah, no, it should have been more. But I will tell you this. Look, Wayne, I'm putting it to you like this, right? You and I, we grew up. We had landlines, right? You ever call a 1-900 number when you weren't supposed to? Don't answer. Okay, you answer. I was trying to save you from it, right? But cool, right? You know what happened the first time we called one of those things? We called the line, and they had advice lines. You could talk to G.I. Joe. You could talk to whoever. You could do the We Are 18 girls, whatever it was, right? You did it. You hung up the phone. The next day, you didn't get in trouble for it. Guess what I did the very next day? I did the same thing all over again. When that phone bill came in $30 more,
oh, boy, my gosh.
My mama wore my tail
different
out,
times,
right?
Mike. Can't say that now, but different times, man.
Okay. Yes. Different times, true. Right? I wasn't 21. But here's the thing. That was over a $38 bill, a $40 phone bill.
Correct.
That was not
Ooh, I remember going to college,
bro.
Mike, and letting my phone bill. My mother.
What?
Bro,
are you kidding
being
me?
18 and getting your ass, never mind. It was tough. Yeah, that's just different times, though, man. Like, you know what I mean? But I guess I feel like, the Niners, to tie this into our team, and you can't compare the two situations, but I can compare how the NFL sanctions different teams. And I feel like the last time that something happened with the Atlanta Falcons was the noise pumping volume. Remember they pumped the fabricated noise? Fine, right? Like, I think it was like, what, $250K or something like that? Probably the same price, right? It was a lot of money. He's like, oh, man, I can make that in beer. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yo, sell extra beers, up the price on beer, and we'll pay that off. You know what I mean? But when the Niners made a clerical error, a mathematical error, in overpaying a player, we had to forfeit a draft pick, a fourth rounder at that. And I'm not comparing the situations, but I'm just saying, like, dang, like, for a clerical error, it forfeits a pick, but to F with somebody's draft day status and situation and things like that, it doesn't forfeit at least a 7th round pick, 6th round, a pick? Like, why I don't understand that. So you slap him on the wrist with a fine and say, don't do it again?
Well, so I do kind of understand it, right?
Okay.
The young man doesn't work for the organization.
I'm not talking about the young man, but you still got to punish you still got to punish the team.
Here's why I don't think it was as severe, though. Because while it came from the descendant of your employee didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? And so for the organization to lose a pick or, be fined even more, I think that's the part that's a stretch, because they didn't do that. They didn't do it. They didn't do it.
So then why fine the organization? It doesn't make sense. No,
because the person who did do it is related to somebody, and they got it off. Hear me out. They got it off of an organization device.
At the end, so then the organization device should also result to a pick. What's the difference? You're fining them. You might as well just take the pick. If you're going to fine an organization $250K because your employee let a boo-boo happen, then you just got to pay.
Chat, let us know if y'all agree with me or Wayne.
Look, I just feel like a pick was a pick, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? What's a 7th round pick? What's a 5th round pick? They should have paid the pick, the 5th. What did they draft Shedeur Sanders in?
Brock Purdy.
Right. Well, they should have paid a 5th-round pick. That's when they.
Fifth-round pick.
Yeah, for Shedeur. I feel like they should have forfeited a 5th for whatever. And how and hear me out. And how the Falcons, the organization, chose to handle the situation with Jeff Ulbrich, that's on them. So if he's fired and terminated, well deserved. Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like there should be that should be within the organization to the employee. But I feel like the NFL should have taken care. Hey man, it's your team, man. You got to be on point on who you trust with your information. We can't have this stuff getting out like this.
Marty Marr just made a great point.
Okay.
This is a HIPAA violation. We think of HIPAA as healthcare, but part of HIPAA is personal information.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Because we don't know what else was leaked in the data. This could be bigger later on down the road.
Now you're cooking. How long has this kid been going through his no. Let me stop saying kid. How long has this man I'm not going to do that. How long has this man been going through his father's stuff and just taking information? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, no, that's
Boat says HIPAA's only applied to medical.
That's not true.
Let's look it up.
HIPAA is I work in the medical field. I'm telling you that part of HIPAA
my bad.
Personal information. If my drivers leak, if my drivers show up to deliver oxygen to a patient and they write on the little door tag, was here to deliver oxygen, HIPAA violation because you're letting them know what the medical is that we're leaving. If we put that patient's phone number on that ticket for some reason, that is personal information. That is part of HIPAA. If you look up what HIPAA stands for, I promise you, it is also personal information.
Hippocratic oath? HIPAA meaning. It means HIPAA stands for Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. That's HIPAA. So health. It has to do with health.
Yeah, no. You got to keep reading though. Like, okay,
it's an act. It's a federal law enacted in 1996 to protect the privacy and security of patients' health information. Now, if there's health information, oh yeah, so this is where HIPAA comes in because there's health information in this data breach. So now it's HIPAA because there's
all you gotta do.
There's injuries. Right. There's all that type of health. Man, height, weight, that's health. So it does have a HIPAA breach.
I just typed into Google, is a phone number protected by HIPAA? AI answer immediately, yes. A phone number can be considered protected health information, PHI, under HIPAA. But
yeah,
only
because
when it's linked to other identifiable health information. So if in that profile of Shedeur Sanders was anything related to injury, medications that he takes, or anything like that, yes, it is a HIPAA violation.
Right.
And you can best believe.
So I hold on. I want us to be clear. I don't think that the number itself is HIPAA, but if it's connected to health, then it's protected by HIPAA. So now if you're talking about, all right, Mike, let's say you get my phone number and now you got my number to get into other information that can release my health records, that's HIPAA.
But you don't have to get into the other information because the Shedeur Sanders file is going to list everything about him concerning previous injuries, any medications that he's taking. All of that is in the Shedeur Sanders file, along with the phone number, emergency contact, all that. So it is 100%. This is a HIPAA violation, y'all. And we're going to talk about what a lawyer is going to say. I'm telling you what a lawyer is going to say. This is a HIPAA violation.
I think
100%.
they will find a way to make it
like
this. Like I said, this could be a lawsuit. So like it might not affect Ulbrich right now, but if oh my God, Mike, what will happen if Deion Sanders and his estate and his family takes this dude to court? He is going to be dragged in the mud, yo. I'm talking about Deion Sanders.
Exactly.
And they did nothing wrong. They did nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
We're talking about Shedeur more, but I know there were other people that were involved. But I want to go to the Shedeur thing. I know you're not a Lakers fan. You actually are like the opposite of a Lakers fan, if there's a such thing, right? As a Celtics fan.
Anti-Laker, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
LeBron James and his son, Bronny James, right? There was this whole thing about like nepotism, like I'm going to get my son in the league, and not only am I going to get him in the league, I'm going to get him on the team I want him to go to, which happens to be the team I'm playing for, and we're going to make history as the first father, some blah 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 blah. And there was this big hoopla, right? And we all know that LeBron James, in essence, runs the Lakers, right? Or whatever.
I think he runs the
organization he's
league,
belonged to.
but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So whatever team he is on. Do you think that the Shedeur Sanders draft stock fell because of what happened with Bronny and LeBron, the father-son dynamic and entering the league and all that? Now, I get it, right? Deion is not in the league, but Deion is as much part of the NFL fabric as any player alive right now, actively in the NFL or not. You know what I'm saying? Do you think that the Bronny James situation and the media hype and all that stuff maybe scared teams off of Shedeur Sanders and drafting him, and that's what caused him to fall even more? Just being associated with his dad and the influence of his dad.
Okay, now we're talking. Okay, I see where you're going. So like yeah, the association part, right? But it's different though. I feel like LeBron, it's kind of different in my opinion. I don't think Bronny was good, right? Shedeur Sanders was good. So if like, and I get that LeBron was, setting it up, make the Lakers draft his son.
Time out. I'm sorry to cut you off. Can you put that GSU comment up there real quick for me, please?
Which one?
At 541. Mike talking about something he knows nothing about. You were wrong. I come on here and I talk a lot of shit all the time. You are wrong, sir. If you, GSU, whatever your real name is, leak any of my personal medical information, you are violating HIPAA, sir.
Correct.
You are absolutely wrong. You don't have to be in the medical field to violate HIPAA. You were absolutely wrong. Like, don't do that. Don't do that to me. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Back to what you were saying. I'm sorry.
I think what was happening is with that particular situation is the cell phone number isn't in violation with HIPAA. I think what you do with the cell phone number,
it's the file he accessed. That's
right.
a HIPAA breach.
Right, but we don't know if he accessed the health part. But with the number, he prank called the kid, but he might have had access to all that information, and we don't know. As of now, we don't know what was leaked. We just know that he prank called. It could get deeper. It could be the reason why the Browns didn't want to draft him, because they got some information from a data breach that leaked out that they didn't have or whatever, and boom, boom, boom. Now, health information, I was told, is supplied to all 32 teams. But what if there was some stuff that was undisclosed? I don't know. But my point is, I think what they're saying is the number isn't in a violation of HIPAA, but the information that's connected to the number as far as medical information, if that's breached, I think that is HIPAA. If it's medical, right? Because phone numbers, bro. Remember back,
HIPAA, yeah.
Yeah, back in the day, phone numbers used to be unlisted. Now you got to pay to get your phone number unlisted. Like, it's weird. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, phone numbers are public, man. There's a lot of stuff public domain. We can find out how much coaches make on the internet. Like, it's just crazy. Like, crazy times. But let's get back to, I think the situation, I like the comparison. Because I do think Deion's influence kind of shaded a little bit down to his son. Now, I don't think, here's the difference. Bronny knew he wasn't that dude. So Bronny didn't come off cocky or anything. You couldn't say he was anything. He was happy for an opportunity. My man Shedeur, in my opinion, Mike, I think he was coming off cocky. And just listening to the way he was speaking, and that might just be the way he was taught and raised or whatever. He just sounded like he knew he was that dude. And I just think that rubbed a lot of owners the wrong way. And it shouldn't, but it did. And LeBron, in my opinion, was protecting his son from a lot of stuff. Whereas I felt like Deion was just trying to get the bag, bro. Like, oh, man, you that dude? Like, let's go get it. For Deion's prime time. So how can you expect the son not to be prime time junior? Like, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah, and they said that he kind of went into it the same way with the whole, like, oh, we're not going to be there. Remember the Deion quote when he was talking to the Giants in the draft?
Yes,
right?
Yes.
They were saying that they went into similar things. They said that he bombed the Giants one also.
Yep.
How fitting is that?
It could have been by design,
though.
I think Shedeur Sanders is a very intelligent young man, And I think that whole Sanders family is intelligent, and they really were trying to avoid getting drafted by the Browns. And how ironic.
That they landed with the damn Browns, right? Like, yeah.
How ironic that the thing they tried to avoid happened. Like, you know what I mean? So I think situation, father-son situation, influence. Yeah, I think they both had influence on where. I think LeBron had more influence on where his son played and Deion didn't. I don't think Deion's power was as great as LeBron James might go down as the greatest power athlete of all time. Greatest influence
in the league that he's in. Yeah,
in any sport, period.
Yep. Yes, sir. Absolutely. I completely
agree.
I
I think at the time Deion played, if he did more for the sport, his influence would be there. Because if you compare these situations, the Sanders family doesn't outweigh the Manning family by the way they contribute to the NFL. Just doesn't. And so, yeah, the Mannings could get away with saying, my son's not going to play for the Los Angeles Chargers. He's not going to play his brother, and we're not going to put my family through that, so trade his ass to the Giants. Like that, Deion doesn't have that power and influence in the league. In my opinion. It's my opinion, you know. So
I just think that some teams in the NFL were kind of learning from the NBA in that sense that, like, all right, maybe we don't want to deal with these kind of headaches, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like I think that not necessarily are they the same, but I think it's kind of related. I think that they felt
maybe they didn't want to deal with the headache of Deion.
Right. So that's the other thing too. So you take Shedeur, and is there the headache of, and this is one I didn't put much credence in, but Tony was saying it. All right, now we're having a bad season. Is my head coach going to be let go for Deion now next year? Right, so it's an added pressure on. But my thing is, well, then be a good damn coach. So you don't have to worry about that. You know what I'm saying? So like, miss me with that excuse. Like, you don't pass up on a good talent because of who their father is. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And here's the thing: you entered the draft. You don't control where you go.
No,
but the league catered to the Manning family. They didn't have to do that.
They had the influence. Well, it was Archie, and it was Peyton. They were running the league. Yeah, but Kenny 49ers, appreciate you, says going to the Brown was not what they were trying to avoid. You could be right. But at the end of the day, I remember hearing a clip of Deion saying that my son will not play for the Browns. I remember those words coming out of Deion Sanders' mouth. It might have been prior years ago or whatever. So I'm not saying maybe they weren't trying to avoid going to the Browns, but I do remember him coming out stating that he did not want his son to play for that organization. What kid wants their son to play for the Browns? That's where your career goes to Brown. Before you even get started, you're going to Brown.
It's over.
Especially at quarterback. Name one quarterback other than Bernie Kosar.
It's not just quarterback. All of them. Like, they had Josh Gordon. They had some of the best play. They've had some of the best. They've had top 10 wide receivers, top 10 running backs. They've had top 10 defensive linemen. Your career does nothing in the Browns. You don't win in that organization.
Yeah, man.
You don't.
I mean, if GSU for life, you probably going before the time I was born. But yeah, hey, whatever.
See the private chat.
I did. My point is. My point is, when it comes to Deion, I feel like I wish he would have stayed more out of it, and I wish football's a different monster too than basketball. Like, it's not, football's way bigger, and I wish Shedeur Sanders would have done one thing, and that would have if he just would have tested. I think regardless of how bad those interviews were, if he just would have tested Mike, just to shut everybody up. Like, I think things would have been different. You know what I mean? But he wouldn't test.
Yeah.
He waited for his pro day. You know? He waited for his pro day.
He did a couple throws at the pro day, but he still didn't participate in everything.
He did a couple of throws at the pro day, and he only threw to Travis Hunter.
Right. So it's like, what are we really talking about here? What did you do to raise your draft stock?
And let me be clear, Mike. I have zero problems in you coming out saying that you're the best motherfucker coming out of college. I have zero problems with that. I expect that. But it's one thing to say it, and you could be like, well, Cam Ward didn't test. Okay. Well, Cam Ward also went to Miami where he balled out and played against Power 5 schools.
And had way better film than Shedeur. I'm sorry. Listen, I think Shedeur shows some promise. I had Shedeur as my 4th or 5th best quarterback in this draft class, right? Now, that says something, right? Did I think he was going to go in the first round? Yes, because usually an NFL draft has 4 or 5 guys going in the first round. But I only had maybe one first-round grade on a quarterback. I didn't think any of those quarterbacks were really like a given to go in the first round. If you're just drafting off of talent alone.
No.
Cam Ward was hands and feet above the rest of them.
If you put those quarterbacks that went in the first round in last year's draft, they would have went in 3rd, 4th round. The talent was way better. And if they came out next year and didn't have great collegiate seasons in 2025, there's some really good quarterbacks coming out next year. You know what I mean? So my question is, why did the Niners pass up on him several times and draft Curtis Rourke?
Are you looking for an answer, or are we?
Mother freaking yeah! Like, oh, you want to leave with a cliffhanger? Let's leave it.
No, it's cool. No, we don't have to do that. I was wondering if
we gonna leave with a cliffhanger, bro. You got to get somewhere. You got to get somewhere. So let's leave with a cliffhanger.
All right, well then, so be it.
You got an answer though?
Yeah, I do have an answer.
Damn.
I'm gonna tell you my answer. You don't answer. That'll be a cliffhanger. Wayne's answer will be the cliffhanger. I don't think the Niners want the pressure of playing them. 2 bad games from Brock Purdy, and the public outcry is gonna be like, "Yo, let's put him in." Let's be honest. Brock Purdy didn't have his best year last year, right? Shedeur is good at playing behind a bad line of scrimmage. Guess what? Brock Purdy's not good at. Playing behind a bad line. Now, and I'll give Brock Purdy his credit.
I thought he played well.
Than any. Yeah, I was going to say he's more mobile. He gets rid of the ball quickly and all that stuff. And I do think Shedeur takes more bad tackles from holding on to the ball too long, right? But he's more used to playing behind a bad offensive line. And so I think that people would say, well, if the offensive line is bad, then put this guy in there. They're not going to call for that right now.
I'm not laughing at you.
Imagine that, though. No, he's right, though. But he's absolutely right. Imagine people clamoring for, hey, get the 5th round guy in here right now.
That happens.
What are you talking about?
We did that. We wanted Trey Lance in over Jimmy Garoppolo. Like
Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance are not the same because Trey was a 1st round pick, not a 5th
you're right.
round
You're
pick.
You're right. But I'm just saying they wanted the young kid in over. But you're right. Put the 5th round pick. I got you. I got you, bro. What a great show, man. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, man. Everybody out there, make sure you smash that like button.
GSU, I got you on my next show. Wayne being nice to you. I got you on my next show.
What'd I do? He ain't come at me. He came at you.
No, you ain't see the private chat then.
Oh.
I asked you to do, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. But does it say anything in the private chat? It just says.
It says share that screen.
Yeah, what screen am I sharing?
Look at the bottom of the screen, bro.
My bad. I didn't know this was here the whole time, bro.
Can a civilian violate HIPAA? Yes, a civilian can violate HIPAA. First period. We ain't even got to read the rest of it, but it's there. Y'all want to go ahead and read the rest of it?
But that's AI, man. What if AI is wrong, bro?
Bro, it's not wrong. I'm telling you what I know.
I'm only saying that
I've been in the medical field for 10 years, bro.
I'm only saying that because somebody tried to use AI on me today on my post, and it was wrong, bro. Because ain't no general manager in the NFL making $90K. Like
Wait, say what?
Nothing. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's crazy.
Sometimes AI be off, is what I'm saying. But I'm not saying this is wrong. I didn't know what you meant.
There's real answers down here. Anyone covered. Look, bro, don't play with me, bro. HIPAA violation is about the person, the individual. If it could lead to medical anything, it's a HIPAA violation. It does not matter who messes it up.
Yeah.
Like, stop playing with me, bro. And the father-son relationship, Falcons organization, this was a HIPAA violation.
Well, that's why I feel like the picks should be attached to the fine. That fine is such a slap in the wrist.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay. Like,
and they
NFL
could still get charged, but again, we don't know
I think the NFL is done. I think the NFL did their thing, and they're going to move forward with it because they want to move forward with it. But let this have been, never mind. Mike, you prepare for glory, anticipate pain. But
I got you, bro. We live all the time, kicking it with the fam, bro. That's Breezy. I'm Mike, and this is The BAM Show.
What's up, faithful? Thanks for watching. Hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and make sure you check out some of the other cool videos.